What is up? That beats episode number 2. We're here with Dawson, Bugsy69, PT competitor twice, and standard Niagara Falls winner. Big dog up in here now. What is up, Dawson? How are you doing?
What up? How are you? How's everyone?
Oh, we're living the dream and we're so excited to hear about your PT experience. But first, I want to know
Thank
more
you.
about you. So, what got you into Magic?
So I started playing probably around Innistrad. So I guess that's like what 12, 13 years ago now.
It sounds like
Started
15, yeah.
playing, yeah. Started playing at like a local store. I was horrible, of course, but I like had a lot of fun doing it. And then there's a bunch of older guys really mean to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing this until I'm like better than these guys at it. And I don't know, maybe I got there. Who knows?
Just a little bit, just a little bit. What did you start with? Were you like a draft king, or were you like playing a little bit of
No, 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 no.
standard, or what was it?
It was standard for sure. I was putting Restoration Angels and Snapcaster Mages on the battlefield for sure.
You were cobblading, or what era was this?
This would have been like Bant Flash era. We were putting the was it Thragtusk? Is that the five
Oh
three?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thragtusk. You were like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are good vibes. Those are good vibes.
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah. Loved
expect you to
it.
be a flicker player like that kind of that style. I kind of
Oh
picked
yeah.
you as like the Delver player, honestly.
No, 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 no. Absolutely not.
But yeah, so honestly, on the come up on Magic, I always feel like we always have like these little silly things that we learn along the way, and that's why I always want to like ask, like, what was your? Do you have any like big core memories of your come up on Magic? Like you didn't understand a rule and it was really funny, or anything of the sorts.
Um, I remember my first time going to a Grand Prix, and I was like, I would have been like 14, right? And just being like, "I got this. I'm so killer at my local store. I 4-0'd once," and then just getting destroyed, and it was just, like, not close, and
Yeah.
I think I showed up with, like, some Brian Kibler brew that I saw on the internet, and that was the start of like, the first moment of my many moments in my career where I'm like, "Oh, I suck. I am not good." And it happens, at every stage of getting better at the game.
Oh. I only had the pleasure because like I started Magic pretty late, so I started at a
Mhm.
GP with it was the Phoenix meta, and I was or just before Hogak, and I was on
Yeah.
Living End, like
Okay.
hardcore Living End with 4 main deck ley lines. So I feel you, where I was
Yeah.
like, I have the meta read, and I think I played against like Tron 3
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
It's just
I
like,
mean, I don't even think I knew, like, what a meta was at the time. I was just like, "This deck is cool. I like it."
yeah, it was a complete vibes based one. I think I was thinking about like Sun and Moon as well. That prison deck, that white red Nahiri attack you with Emrakul kill you thing. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel you.
Classic.
I feel you. So when you're coming up, you always have to like figure out what decks you like, and I feel like that's a really hard part. So I kind of want to
Mhm.
like ask, like, how would you describe the type of player you are, and like, what kind of decks do you feel as though you started gravitating towards? Like, where did you find your identity as a player?
So, I think that question kinda goes into, like, 2 parts. I think pre-COVID, when I was, like, a lot worse, I think, I really gravitated towards, like, control decks, and things of that sort, and then after COVID, I found that I really enjoyed playing mid-range decks. I started playing them a lot more because some people whose opinions I respected said, like, "Mid-range is the hardest, that's the best way to learn, like, fundamentals." So I just jammed mid-range decks. I lost a lot, and now I forever have a love for anything mid-range, as most people in my circles will say I gravitate towards the 48% horrible decks.
Were you ever a combo player?
No, not I mean, there's definitely been some events where I've, like, played combo, but I tend to stay away from it unless it's blue-red storm, then I'm a sucker
Yeah.
for it.
I feel like I always remember you as like like if you were to ever play like one of those decks, it was like maybe Breach or something along the lines where it was like kind of like a more of a mid-range backdoor that was kind of like the fun, but like
Yeah,
up front, I can kill you with a control deck, but you always want to have the
yeah,
fun back end of activating Urza Saga or Emery or whatever it may be.
yeah,
I
yeah. I
that
do have a lot of love for the, Doppler Sword combo as well. That is forever in my heart.
Oh, I remember beating that with Etron every single day of the week. Oh my
I
lord.
yeah, we
I
ran into each other quite a bit on, in the challenge streets, and you'd always just get me. You'd card me, and I was just like, "Alright, well."
Oh yeah. No, those are my come up days. That's actually just when I started playing Magic, right? Like I went
Yeah,
straight into an online phase and I didn't know who anyone was. I actually remember Ginger talking shit about me in Canister's chat as like a very early
yeah,
memory. He was like, "This guy was awful. I can't believe I said good luck to him." I was like,
that's so funny.
"Turn two, thought not seer."
That's
uh,
so funny.
yeah, but when did you so you obviously got a lot better from your mid range, or sorry, from your early days, and you eventually got to the
Mhm.
PT, right? But when did you like realize the PT was a thing? Like what would you when did you like kind of realize that was a goal that you wanted to eventually work towards?
Honestly, really early. I remember some of the first like media I consumed from Magic was the Walking the Plains. And I would just like watch it religiously and seeing like the pro tour and these players like prepping and like the pro club and all these sort of things. I was like, I just want to do this. Like I like the idea of competing. I've always played games like in a competitive sort of environment. Like when I was a kid, I used to play Call of Duty competitively. And I was like, okay, this Magic competitive seems so cool. And so I was like, I gotta do this. And that's what, pushed me to start going to Grand Prix, even though I two forward all of them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So then you wanted to just try to like achieve the PT after
Yeah.
absolutely bumming out all the time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would go to every 'cause back in the day there was like straight up just PTQs, right? I would go and just always like O3. But I didn't matter. I was like, I'm gonna eventually do it. I'm a child, but I'll figure this out.
When do you think you started like really achieving and like progressing yourself in Magic? Like obviously the PT is like the end goal for a lot of people, but did you have any goals in
Mhm.
between that you were really working on to try to achieve, like some sort of halfway medium of success?
I mean, I think that like the Face Open series was sort of like a middle ground for me. I wanted to do like good at those. Um, I think in terms of like when did I start feeling like I was improving, it's with who I surrounded myself with. For a long time, I was just like hanging out with the guys from the local store who were like a little bit worse than me, but that didn't mean much. And then once I started hanging with people who were like actually on the PT or like accomplishing things, it was like, oh wow, okay, I suck again. I got to level up.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel the constant battle of oh I suck, oh I'm always bad. I always feel it's
Yeah,
really hard to come up because you always are the underdog. At
yeah,
least with the
yeah,
friend
yeah,
groups that I always associated myself with, that being like the Cabal and similar.
yeah. Of course.
So, how did you end up queuing for your first PT? And can you kind of go through the story of how you ended up getting there?
Yeah, so it was for we were playing RC Calgary, which would have been last November. It was a Pioneer RC, and this is when Demons was like the big deck, mono black and red black Demons, which normally you would have expected me to play, given I played red black mid range at almost every Pioneer RC. But I decided, like, you know what? I keep kind of getting close, getting like top 16s, a few top 32s. Like, I'm getting close. I need to switch up the deck. So I decided to play Phoenix, tested it pretty religiously with a small group of people, and then ended up top 12ing that RC to get my PT invite.
Would you always say that you were more of a person that kind of followed towards the meta and always played these decks like Phoenix and Red Black? Or would you ever think that you had some sort of like creative hand and wanted to always change things? Like you would pick up a list, make a couple changes? Or were you always just a hard and hammer, tried and true? These were the results. I'm just going to play the list.
I definitely think that if I'm ever trying to adapt to a meta, it's within a deck list, and it's not like within an established deck list, and not like going for some off meta. Like my mono blue Merfolk deck is really good against the meta. Like I played a lot of red black mid range, so I was trying to build it to beat the meta.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Uh, so you decided to end up. Why Phoenix out of all of the decks? What made you gravitate towards that one specifically?
Pretty early on, we were like, this deck just plays some of the most powerful cards you can in the format. I mean, Treasure Cruise is absurd. Phoenix is still like an insanely good card. And there was so many events beforehand where I was like, why didn't I play Phoenix at this event? Why did I register Graveyard Trespasser in my deck? So I was like, I think this is like my redemption shot. I'm gonna play Phoenix. And maybe it's not the best choice, but I think it's what I want to be doing.
I think
It worked out. So
I remember those like events or whatever, those RCs where it always just felt like the Pioneer RCs where play Phoenix or try to beat Phoenix. And I always
yeah.
landed on the I'm gonna play the 4 color pile that maybe beats Phoenix. We'll try our best.
Yes, I
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it never worked out. I beat Ginger once and I was happy enough with that, man. Happy enough.
That's your peak.
That's all I need. That's all
You
I
did
need.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can just retire this podcast now. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so you end up queuing for the PT, And
Yeah,
PT Aether Drift, we're going to focus less on, but more so the
sure.
more recent PT Final Fantasy, because I believe at PT Aether Drift, you did end up requeuing for Final Fantasy, and that's how you ended up being able to play these in succession. Um,
Yeah.
but going into the PT, you ended up picking a blue black mid range. Was that a deck that you kind of
Yeah.
went in being like, I'm 100% focused on this. I will not play anything else. I'm just going to keep testing this? Or was there a bunch of other options that you kind of had a list of and then you kind of just went towards blue black? Or
So the reason blue black was in my consideration for the PT is because our RC, which was also standard, was so close to the PT, and so I had worked with like a pretty tight group of like really great players for the RC, and blue black is what I ended up playing at the RC, and obviously it was like pretty bad into cutter, so it might have been a mistake for the RC, but we were trying to figure out, okay, like, can we beat cutter? Can we make this a little more even? Because it's so good against everything else. And we got pretty close. I ended up doing bad at the RC, but I was like, it's fine. Going to the PT, I want to revisit this and see, is this still a possibility? But I was never fully locked on it. I definitely tried a lot of cutter. It was sort of the boogeyman of the format. Played a lot of Omni. I was messing around with like red green delirium a whole bunch to see like maybe this is like a deck that no one's talking about. But blue black ended up being sort of like what I was most comfortable with, and also like a lot of my internal testing data pointed towards it being a good choice.
were there any off the wall decks that you guys ended up trying testing that somebody brought to the theoretical PT house and was like, "Hey guys, I have this brew. Let's try it." Because I know that at least when I was talking to the NRG team a little bit ago, there
Mhm.
was a couple of those that ended up not making the cut. And I always think it's really funny to try to
Yeah.
think of like what we thought might end up like being the anti-meta tech. Because I feel like those decks always end up like popping up when there's like a 30,
Mhm.
40% ratio or percentage deck or card like Core Steel Cutter. Were there any of
Yeah.
those style of decks that your team ended up like pointing at, and now we can look back and laugh.
There was a little bit. I mean, like, it's a bit different because traditionally, and I'm sure we'll get into this in a bit, but like Rampant Growth as a team we notoriously have like tried to pick the best deck as a whole. I mean, for Chicago, I'm pretty sure most of our team played Red Green Mice because we established as like the best deck. I didn't because I'm constantly just doing this thing where I end up on an island. But we definitely like I pushed the team a little bit to try other things just to make sure to cover our bases. So we tried around with like some of the Una decks and like reanimating enchantments. We messed around, like I said, with Red Green Delirium a bunch just to see like maybe this shell is really good against Cutter. It wasn't. We didn't play that. That died pretty quickly. Um, but I wouldn't say there's anything like too absurd.
Nothing
We
absurd.
definitely are. No, we're a team that sticks to the waterfalls we know a little more.
That's good. No, that's good. I just always think it's really funny to be like, hey guys, we busted it, and this is the busted list, and
Yeah,
like we come
yeah,
back and it's like absolute dog pile.
yeah. One day I hope to though. I hope to
Oh
break
yeah.
the format with some insane brew.
Eventually, if you ever get on a team with Mr. Dominic Palercio, it's gonna happen. He's gonna show up with some
Okay,
wild stuff you've never seen. If you know who I'm talking about,
I hope
Crocodile.
so.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
he's a character. um,
yes.
But now we're how did you end up on this team? Team Rampant Growth. Was it just like a bunch of people you knew and just got invited on, or how'd you end up?
So after Chicago, or sorry, after the RC, I was like, okay, am I going to do a team thing, or am I just going to be on my own? And honestly, I assumed I would be on my own because most people who queue for the first PT don't end up on a PT team. But luckily, I knew Daniel Goschel, who was like the sort of quote unquote founder of Rampant Growth. And so through another friend who vouched for me, they were like, I don't know, let's give him a shot. Why not? They were like, I think they were a little hesitant at first just because it is my first PT. I had like no real prior results, but they took a risk on me and ended up working out.
Oh, it's really good. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of weird how like broken networking is at Magic because
Yeah. Yeah.
results do speak for themselves, but just because you have the results, I feel like not a lot of people just come up to you and you're like, oh my god, I need you on my team or whatever.
Yeah, well, I find it's also a lot harder to network as a Canadian, right? Because we don't have such established series for Magic. Like we don't have an Energy series, we don't have a Star City Games series where like even if someone's not crushing the PT, they might be crushing Energy and then their name gets out there. Whereas no one's looking at face-to-face games open results and being like, wow, this guy's crushing it.
I try really hard though. I do try really hard to win as much as I can and end up in those photos. But honestly, at this point, I start using the face to face series as just I'm gonna wear a silly hat and pray I top it.
Mhm.
Or I think
That's huge.
I think I dressed up as Mermaid Man for one of them, and then Barnacle Boy did not end up top aiding. He lost his win in it.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, we all have to have our lane, right?
Yeah, it was really sad. But no, I really agree with you. I do wish there was more of a pronounced Canadian series to try to put forth Magic
Mhm.
players. But
Yeah,
I think it's an issue. Maybe you can even what do you think the issue is? But like I personally think it's something to do with the fact that we live so far apart, all of us, and it's so hard to
yeah,
always be like, "Okay, how?" Like it feels really difficult. Like early on, I feel like it was pretty easy in the RC season to be like, "Hey, Ontario, Quebec, pretty good." But I feel like
yeah,
nowadays it's like ev- the West can get a little scrappy, or the West can get a
yeah,
little scrappy. I feel like now, and so it's like really
yeah. There's
difficult to
definitely
always be
some.
like, "Who's the best?" Right?
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely like some insane players in Vancouver that do not get as much love as they should.
Anyone you want to shout out?
I gotta shout out my boy Drew Fingers. He's a killer. I gotta shout out Nam.
Of course.
Marcus as well.
I
Both a
love
great player,
Marcus.
great dude. Makes the best cookies.
Oh, bro. Marcus was in my Airbnb for this last PT. Shout out Marcus if you see this. Shout out Marcus. I spent
Yeah,
a solid half an hour right before we had to leave trying to find his wedding ring with him, just for him to find it in his bag. We were like
that's sick.
dismantling couches, going through cushions and everything. Shout out
That's
you,
very him.
Marcus. Shout out Marcus.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so you ended up on this team for PT testing.
Mhm.
What does PT testing in a team environment look like, both with the draft and with the constructed?
Yeah, so I mean, there's kind of two halves of it, right? There's the online half where you all get in a Discord server, and there's the pre-house sort of testing, which a lot of it early on is just like, let's just play a bunch of matches, talk about a lot of different stuff. It's sort of the exploring phase. You try and get as much of that out of the way before the house, so that like A, you can bring all the cards you need because scrambling for cards for a PT is horrible. But also like you don't want to be trying to figure your deck list a week before the PT. Um, so there's a lot of that, a lot of exploring, and then usually like about a week before the PT, everyone like tries to lock in, be like, okay, I'm playing this. Maybe I have like a backup deck. Like maybe I'm playing Cutter for sure, but like I have Omni on the back burner, you know.
Mhm.
And then usually that leading up to the week where we play the PT, that's when everyone flies out to the house, and then from there it's a lot of like playing matches, firing a lot of internal drafts. Usually they're all going to be called as well to sort of get used to the flow of a called draft, and then you play with the three rounds, and then we usually will just like chat about our limited decks, talk about sort of like how the flow of the draft went, how the cards interacted, as well as having like of course limited meetings discussing cards and a lot of back and forth.
Now, I picture you as more of a constructed player than a draft player. Is that correct?
Hmm.
So
For sure.
when we go into these testing houses, like personally as an outsider, I think what I would
Hmm.
personally fear at is I also am more of a constructed player than a draft player. I hate draft.
Yeah.
That's going to be my downfall if I ever queue for the PT. Does it
Yeah.
feel really weird going into this house of just so many different personalities and maybe even egos? Because I feel as though there are still some egos that do exist within Magic. If anything, they're a little
Of
bit
course.
great. Um, how does that dynamic end up working out for you, and how do you feel your experience with your team ended up helping you prepare, or like settling your nerves, or anything it may be?
You know what? Honestly, like I'm incredibly lucky that my team was super patient. Like I went in obviously for this, I'm going to speak a little bit about Chicago because like
Mhm.
I went in not having ever played a PT. I knew like my limited skills were sort of like where I needed the work, and like just being honest with the team about that, and they were like more than happy to help learn limited and like be patient with that stuff. And no one's going to be like, how did this idiot get on the team? He sucks at drafting. You know what I mean? Like, and even for Vegas, like I found that I was really struggling with Final Fantasy as a set. Like the limited environment was tough for me to get a grasp on, and no one was like judging you if you owe three a house draft. You know what I mean? Like someone's got to do it, and everyone just wants everyone to do well. As much as Magic is like an individual sport, when you're on a team, like everyone wants to see everyone else do well. So there's never any like there's definitely ego in the game for sure, but not to the point where like your teammates don't want you to do well. They want to do everything they can to help you succeed.
Yeah, I was wondering within the team because it feels like I don't know if I were to go in and be that 03 drafter and consistent, or maybe I wouldn't say the word consistently, but like consistently do
Mhm.
poorly. I feel as though it
Yeah.
might be like a hit to even my own ego. Just be like, oh wow, I'm finally realizing how utter bad dog shit I am at this game, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to like
yeah.
absolutely rock my world, and just like it would just be such an awful feeling. So that's like always my fear with even
Mhm.
queuing for the PT. It's just like I have to face
No.
my demon limited.
Yeah, no, honestly, like and the thing is too is like you just learn it, you know what I mean? Like, even if you're bad at every other limited set, like, you can get up to speed so quickly on a draft environment with, like, all these people helping you learn and, like, pointing at your flaws, so, it's not something I would worry about at all, and, like, I went into Chicago a bad drafter, and I 5-1'd the limited portion, so that's sort of a testament to, what a team can do.
I guess you can be the bad limited drafter in a team house, but if that team house has the best limited record, you're all fine.
Exactly.
'Cause now you're the best. You're the worst of the best. So either that and
Yeah.
the best of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
worst. Um,
Yeah.
so when we're looking at PT testing for constructed more so, so
Mhm.
do you find that there's like certain guys that end up taking certain roles? Like you're specifically the blue black guy, and there's some guy that's really high
Mhm.
on Grew Delirium, or do you think it's a more collaborative effort on trying to like make this one deck for everyone? Is that how your team ended up working out? Because it kind of sounds like it might have been that.
I mean, I think it's super format specific. I mean, I think that, like, obviously our testing for Atlanta is gonna look super different because Modern's such a wide format, so we're gonna have more variety, whereas something like Aether Drift or for Final Fantasy, like, there was sort of a clear best deck, and I think that most people gravitated towards that. So there was definitely, like, roles in terms of people would put more stock into what someone had to say about a deck if they had played it more, but I'm not sure we sort of delegated anything more than that. I think the role of me being blue black guy was kind of funny because I'm the only person on the team that registered blue black, let alone a swamp. Um, so there was a lot of people coming to me being like, "Hey, what do you think of this sideboard card from me playing Cutter against blue black?" And that's sort of the role I took. Um, but I was definitely sort of alone in that position.
No, that's the part that would also feel like a little bit worrisome for me because like if I'm like theoretically the e-tron guy, like I was,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
couldn't bounce ideas. It felt as though sometimes I couldn't bounce ideas, or my final say was like what was gospel or whatever, and
sure.
you're just like, what if I'm wrong, right? Because I feel like Magic's a
Yeah,
game where like even the best of the best can be wrong about cards because like it's just
for
so
sure.
hard and things change all the time. So it feels like a lot of pressure to just be known as
Mhm.
like the guy. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah,
feel
and
the
I think
same.
it's important. Yeah, like, whenever people come to me to, like, talk about, blue black from the Cutter side or from Omni, like, it was important for me to use language that wasn't like, "Oh, for sure this," like, or, "Oh, I'm not sure," and I would always push to be like, "Why don't we play it? Why don't we sort of see how this plays out and then talk about it?" And there's never people in teams tend not to use any, like, for sure language just because it leads to people possibly being wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's just a big difference within change because I feel as though the people that
Mhm.
I sometimes surround myself with I feel like Magic players are very easily to, oh, this card's absolute worst, or oh, this card's absolute best, to be on like either end of the spectrum. It's very like
Yeah,
refreshing and like very I think that's it's a process to try to learn to be the middle.
yeah,
I feel like it's
yeah.
so difficult to walk that line.
I think it's the most important thing though, right? Like, sort of a common thread between all good players is that they always want to investigate both other people's thoughts as well as their own, and, like, never be sure about anything or just go off instinct.
Fair enough. Well, so we talked about testing. We talked about a lot of the positives. Were there any
Mhm.
negatives from your own side of the testing house for people that are considering to possibly join a team or form a team?
Um, I don't know if there's, like, for sure negatives per se. I think a testing house is you'll get out of it what you sort of put into it. Um, I mean, like, if you go into a testing house and you go, "Okay, I'm just gonna blindly follow player X, Y, and Z because I think they're so much better than me," then you might get it wrong if that person's wrong. But I think using a team as like a tool to sort of learn and bounce ideas off of and like sanity check yourself of like, I'm having this thought, is this crazy? And then someone's like, yeah, man, you're crazy. Here's why. Is like super crucial, especially someone for me who like I'm always thinking something crazy, you know?
I feel that. I feel that. I definitely have that one guy in my friends list that I'm always like, "Hey, I think I broke it," and then we're all like,
Yeah,
"No, you're dumb. You're
you
dumb."
did
We
not break
reality
it.
check every
Yeah,
single
yeah,
time.
yeah.
We're like, "No, no, 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 no. You gotta stop for a second there."
Yeah.
Like right now in standard post bans, I'm always like, "Hey guys, I think I finally got it. I finally figured it out." And then it was funny because
Yeah.
I think I built a nihilist the night before I went to bed, and then it immediately
Mhm.
got like second in a challenge, and I was like, oh, "I broke it." And then I look at the list,
Yeah.
everything I had was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. So
Yeah,
I feel
so,
that.
I mean, I guess sort of, like, to summarize my answer is, like, a testing house can only be a negative is if you blindly follow. But, like, as long as you just, like, trust yourself a little bit and not just do whatever the team's doing, then like no, I think it's always going to be a positive. You're always going to be learning something.
Oh, it's good to hear. So to move away from the entire idea of testing as a team, I want to talk more about your
Hmm.
PT Final Fantasy experience now that we kind of
Sure.
figured out how teams really ended up working. Because I feel like that's something that's very important for a lot of people in the come up to try to understand.
Hmm.
And it's just it's cool to have an inside perspective to not not being in the room, want to know what things are going on. Never been a part of a team, so
Yeah, of
uh,
course.
day one,
Hmm.
you had some limited. How did your limited go on day one?
Yes. So day one was tough. I drafted like a pretty good blue black deck. I think it was pretty solid. Um, Ended up going 1-2 in the draft pod, which was a little bit disappointing, but it also a bit expected given, I'd said I was struggling with the format a bit. Um, yeah, round one, I lost to a teammate actually, Arnie from Finland. Super great guy. Had some close matches, but yeah, he got there. And then round two, I played against one of the handshake members. I beat him in some like incredibly close games. And then I lost round three to one of the best red green landfall decks I've ever seen in my life. One of the most kind Japanese players I've ever played against, though. He was very cool.
I love specifically because like when I was in Chicago, I played against a guy that didn't speak English. I love playing
Hmm.
Magic with people that we don't speak the same
Oh, I did
language
too.
with. It's so
Yeah.
funny every time.
Yeah. No, it's one of the things I hadn't like fully experienced until playing the PT because like I played against like some French people from Quebec who weren't as fluent and that was a little bit different. But like I'm such a big fan of playing against any player from Japan. Their like table demeanor, their manners is just like it's unmatched.
Yeah, yeah. No, my guy specifically was from Chile, and we were having it was like
Okay.
we were having this pointing match every single time. It's like we would not
Yeah.
advance cards, be like
Yeah.
it's so funny every time.
Y Yeah. I mean, magic is in itself sort of a language, and I think that that's, like, such a cool thing to sort of bring people together that, like, I can sit across from someone who's, like, none of the language is shared, and we can play a full match of a very complex game without a word being said. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, and to touch more onto like the PT thing again. Uh,
Mhm,
do you feel any amount of pressure, especially when you're going into drafting, you're not as confident, and then you play against a handshake
mhm,
member round two, right? Is
mhm.
that at all affecting you when it comes to these matches? Do you feel that pressure, or are you just like it's another guy? Let's sign the match slip.
Yeah, no, it's just another guy.
Just another guy.
I'm very lucky to have, like, sort of a humble brag here. My whole sort of like time playing, whether I'm horrible or a medium, been surrounded with like incredible players, and you like beat them at like whether it's a local event or the kitchen table, and you're like, oh yeah, you can just win any match. So I sort of learned to never get nervous.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel like early on, even on my like PT or sorry, my early magic grinding, it was like a
Yeah,
surreal experience the first few times. But I feel like after that, you're just like, it's whatever. I definitely feel like though
yeah,
the sitting down for the first time and just seeing like the real person, like Reed Duke is really there about to cast an Inquisition against me. I feel like it's like a
yeah.
shit bricks moment.
It's definitely cool. I mean, like, I remember at the end of Chicago or at the end of day 1 of Chicago, I was 7-0, and I had, like, the main feature match against Ben Stark, who is, of course,
Yeah.
just, like, Hall of Fame level. And I was like I don't know if I was nervous, but I was, like, in awe because I was like, 6 months ago, I wasn't sure if I'd ever make the PT, and now I'm sitting here 7-0 against Ben Stark. Like, it's sort of like it is very surreal.
Hmm. It's a weird experience. It's really hard to describe.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But drafting. So you went 1-2. I don't know which one you
I
beat.
did.
Who did you beat? Which of the three?
I beat the handshake member, Julian, who
Oh,
was very cool. We ended up getting tacos one of the night. Such a cool guy.
yeah. I always like the team handshake members. They're always good vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I love all of those guys.
But sure, you're 1-2, and so that's a little scary because I
Yes.
believe you need to 4-4 to at least play day two.
Yes. Yeah. 4-4 is the cutoff.
So we go into the constructed portion. Let's go over that for a
Mhm.
bit. How is your matchups? What did you end up playing against? Do you have anything stand out that happened? Let's gab.
Sure. I can run through it quick. So round one played against, I believe her name was Krista. She's from Flexlot, and she was playing Jen Roots. I beat her somewhat quickly. I think that matchup's like obviously really good for blue black. I was also playing the Vren Silex in my sideboard for Cutter, but it ended up having some nice overlap with all the small tokens that that deck makes. And then I go right into round two and I get my first Cutter matchup. And I'm like, okay, this is sort of the litmus test. and I very handily 2-0'd it, which was like an incredible feeling. And then the round after that, I played against Mono Red. I beat them, which was nice. I wasn't too worried about Mono Red. Then I lost to Mono Red. I was like, okay, that's all right. We can take one of those. And then in the final round, I played against Omni, which is supposed to be a great matchup. But then I unfortunately lost to some unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah. Is the unfortunate circumstances variance on your end?
It was, yeah, a bad beat, if you will.
Ooh,
Um,
that's a good one.
yeah, game two, I beat them game one, and then game two is just sort of they drew really well, which is fine. And then game three, I got stuck on three lands and just couldn't keep up. So I was definitely a little bit tilted after that. I think it was my first time I've ever tilted playing the PT,
Yeah.
but it
How
definitely
do
got
you
me.
manage tilt at a PT? Because I feel like it's such a high pressure environment that like these things
Hmm.
can really get to you. So how do you personally
Yeah,
like let's just say theoretically this wasn't your last round because I feel like it's a little bit easier after that. How would you say you would
yeah.
manage it if it was like round 6 and you got that mono red loss and you're like I should have never
Hmm.
lost this. This was utter crap. How would you manage it?
Yeah. Um, Honestly, at this point, like I just breathe. I sort of like ground myself a little bit. I'm just like, you know what? You still have a lot of rounds to give. It is what it is. And like one of the things that really kept me grounded throughout both these PTs is like not to be kind of cringe here, but like I felt very grateful just like be playing a PT at all. So like whatever happens, I'm just like happy. You know what I mean? I'm in Las Vegas. I'm having a good time. I've had like a great week with my team. So like so what if I don't make day two? That's what's expected. It's my only second PT.
It's gratitude. We figured it out. We
Yes,
stuck
I'm
together.
yes.
But yeah, so we end up the day, or so we end up being 4-4, right, on day one. We end up
Yes.
making that
Yeah.
crucial thing. How did that feel to you to
Yes.
finally to be 4-4? I think you ended on a loss, so probably not feeling as great,
Yeah.
but 4-4 still probably feels pretty fine.
I was very grateful to have day 2 of course, but it was hard for me to grateful. I was pretty tilted for a few hours after just because, like, I needed a 9-7 to re-queue, and that's sort of a thought that, like, kept going through my head, and so every loss hurt.
Mhm.
And I saw that Omni matchup for the last round, I was like, "This is killer." Like, I'm gonna be 5-3. That's, like, a great record going into day 2, and then to get that loss, I was definitely, like, tilted for a little bit, but later on that night, I was like, "Oh, you know what? Whatever. Go into day 2, reset. You did it. Day 2 of your first 2 PTs is, like, pretty absurd." So, again, I took that gratitude and sort of
Gratitude
used
lap.
that to untilt.
No, that's totally fair. Something I also forgot to ask earlier to even write down because I feel like it's such a
Mhm.
fun question to try to ask. Do you have any rituals for your tournaments? Anything you do beforehand? Anything that you need? Because I know that I had a friend that always wore the same pair of socks for any day one event that he went into. There's Travis Benedict that has his day two shirt. If you ever day twos,
Okay. No, I don't. I mostly just try and make sure I get enough sleep. Don't eat anything that's gonna make me wanna throw up. Uh, that's pretty much it.
see, one of these days someone's gonna
It's a
have a funky
boring
ritual.
question or a
One of
boring
these
answer,
days,
sorry.
one of these days, someone's gonna have a funky answer, and I'm so ready for it.
I bet.
I
One
need
of
to
these
know.
days, you're gonna have, like, a freaky answer that's gonna be like, "Alright, man, we gotta cut that."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be the House of Mana episode. Don't worry.
Yeah, I bet.
So we finished 4-4. We detiltify
Yes.
overnight. Wake up for day
Yes.
two. Brand new day. We have another draft going. How did this draft end up
Mhm.
going?
This one's a lot better. We got to play red white aggro. I feel like I picked my lane really well, which I was really happy with. And for anyone who's familiar with Final Fantasy, I was able to get 5 of the Magitech whatevers, the 1/1 that can search up more 1/1s. So I was like, "This is sick." Showed a couple people my deck. They were like, "Your deck's broken." I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." Yeah, I ended up finishing 2-1, which I was, like, really happy with because I was a little bit concerned going into day 2 draft. I was like, "I really don't wanna 1-2 this draft and then have to, like, 4-1 standard." Um, so, yeah, I was really happy with the 2-1.
Yeah, forwarding standard puts a lot of pressure on you. Something that like
Yeah.
becomes a common phrase, at least in my friend group, when it comes to these things, is it's just a league. You just got to 5-0 a league.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
it,
That's
it
the classic framing.
it just comes right to it. It's just like you just got a 5-0. And I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
such an awful mentality or an awful thing because it's like, man. This is like
Yeah,
leagues
it's
on step.
horrible.
It's like a gold league on standards, man. We got gold leagues
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and people are always telling me like, "Oh, man, don't think about it, just go match at a time," and I'm just like, "Let me think about it how I want, alright? I'm good. Let me think about this that I just need to 3-2 a league or whatever."
Let me put it in my terms. That's what I need to understand.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we're 6-5. Thank God. We just need to
Yes.
3-2. We just need to 3-2.
Just a 3-2. Yeah.
How did it end up going? But no spoilers. How did it end up going? Walk us through this maybe 3-2.
Alright, so, I look at my first round of standard, and I see Cutter, and I'm like, "Alright, all good." And I recognize it as one of the members of Cosmos, and I'm like, "Okay, I know this guy's gonna know what he's doing here." Um, so we sit down, we start playing. I win game 1, which is, like, huge for blue black. Cutter's supposed to win game 1, so I'm like, "Easy. We're so good." And then I lose the next 2 games, and I'm like, "Hey, that's alright." I had the classic, in game 3, I won't bore everyone with the details, but I thought I had the game locked up. He only had 2 cards, and he goes Swift Spear stock up to, like, get 2 more spells and kill me. I had to ask, I'm like, "Which one did you top deck?" And he laughs and he goes, "The Swift Spear." I'm like, "Alright, I feel better now." But then the next round, I pair into Cutter again. I'm like, "Surely I don't lose to this deck twice." I didn't. I won, which was I was really happy about. So at this point, I'm 2-1 against Cutter, which is like a great feeling for my worst matchup. And then I was very, very grateful, very lucky to pair into Omni the next 2 rounds, beat them very handily twice, and then I locked it up. I was 9-6, and I was like, "I'm free. No more. I don't need to worry." And then
Love a Dawson.
I lost to the great Sam Pardee in the last round. I thought about conceding to him anyway because we had been like talking about like match points or whatever, and I thought about playing it out for Worlds because obviously like that's now like a thing I'm aiming towards with AMPs, and he was like, I kind of need the 9-7, like I don't know, whatever. And I was gonna concede, but then I was like, I want to play. Like this is Sam Party, you know, he's someone I grew up watching play. I got to play this match, um, and he ended up winning, so it worked out.
So it didn't matter about thinking of concession, but I want you to know
Yeah,
this is specifically the bad beats show. If you got some bad beats, all the details are all I ever want. That's all. That's all we ever want.
sure.
We want you to absolutely be like, hey, this is how badly I lost. That's the core essence of what I want here.
I
I want people
almost
to
had a bad
absolutely.
beat in my when I was 8 wins playing against Omni. I was in game 2, I think, and I had an idiot mistake where we were, like, chatting. My opponent was from Sweden, super nice guy, so we're just, like, chatting, bantering, whatever, while we're shuffling, and I mulligan to 5, and I'm like, "Whatever, who cares?" And so I mulligan to 5, I'm like, "Okay, I'll keep this." I put a card on the bottom, and we're just still chatting, and I instantly start the game, like, I'll swamp go, realizing I didn't put a second card on the bottom of my deck. So I instantly call a judge, and I'm thinking like, "No way I'm about to throw this really important match because I'm an idiot." Luckily, it was very clear that I wasn't cheating. My opponent hadn't making any or taken any game action, so they just were like, "Just reverse it. It's fine." And I ended up winning, but it was almost a bad beat. It would have been hilarious if I somehow got a game loss for
Oh,
just being a moron.
bro, I lost I lost game 1 in the top beta face to face, and then immediately I started the game with 8 cards in game 2, and I was like, oh,
That's sick.
oh, and then it was I think I was playing like devoted druid, and they took my devoted druid
Yeah.
and proceeded to never draw another.
Yeah.
Immediately
Classic.
out. So I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
I feel you just being like, oh yeah, we're
You
just
just
having a
feel
great
so
time.
dumb.
Yeah, you're just like,
Yeah.
huh. I really
Is
did
what it
that.
is.
I really did that. But
Yeah.
no, bad beats are always what's supposed to be the thing. You know, I love hearing the stories about how much of an idiot you were because I feel like it humanizes people, especially at like the top tier.
Yeah.
Because Dawson, not to say that you're like top tier, but you're definitely top tier Canada. I'll give you that. You're like one of the Canadian goats.
Maybe. I won't say it. I'll let you say it all you want, though.
I'll say it. I'll say it. He's pretty cool. Like
You'll take it.
7, maybe 8 out of 10. I'll give him that.
I
But
did it
go for it.
sorry, go ahead.
No. You go.
I'll tell this and maybe you can cut it, we'll see. I did have an actual game loss in Chicago where they deck checked us for game 2, and when I was putting my cards back to be like, "Alright, put in my deck box, whatever," I put one of the sideboard cards in backwards, so it was facing the sideboard, so I had 59 cards in my deck and or the other way around, 61 cards I don't remember. One of the
Okay.
2 ways.
Illegal.
The
Or
one that I'm not allowed to do,
yeah.
um, 16 cards on the sideboard, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
And, so they were like the judges took me away, and they were, like, very intense, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And they're asking me all these questions, and I'm like, "Sorry, I don't know. I'm an idiot." And they ended up giving me a game loss, which was very funny because it's just me being an idiot.
Maybe this is an aside, but I'm here to have this conversation. It's my show. I can do what I want. But
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
always feels so weird having a judge investigation where you're just like, I'm an idiot.
Mhm.
Please, I'm an idiot. I'm so like having to prove
Yeah,
your own stupidity to someone
yeah,
else just feels so weird. Because I don't know. Whenever
yeah.
a judge like gets called on me and I know I fucked up because I'm an idiot, I'm like, I feel like I'm just like a kid that got caught with his hand in the candy jar.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cops, or hall monitors. I call judges hall monitors when it comes to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They got a little bit of authority, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, and they're asking me questions, they're like, "Oh, how did you sideboard?" I'm like, "Just trying to figure out." I'm doing the Da Vinci Code to, like, remember how I sideboarded and I'm like, "I have no idea, I just put cards in and hoped." I have no idea.
I just followed the sideboard guide. Please, please. It's that. That's
Yeah,
what was wrong.
yeah, I don't know, it's on the page, read it.
But you did well and constructed enough, right? You did well
I
enough
did,
to be
yeah.
able to qualify for the next two PTs. Two.
Yes,
So
yes.
Edge of
It is
Eternities.
insane.
Are you hoping for anything cool with Edge of Eternities? What do you? So it's gonna be Edge of Eternities is modern, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Yep,
have
yep,
any
yep.
front runners right now? Any ideas? Anything you're testing right now?
I mean, I've been playing a ton of the, like, blue-red cutter, Emery, Tameo sort of, like, artifact
Oh
decks.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Checking those out. I mean, like, I've been so checked out of Modern for the past, like, 6 months because it's just been standard central for me.
Yeah.
So I'm kinda getting, like, reacquainted with the format. I know Titan is still great, but I refuse to play that. Um, but yeah, blue-red, definitely a front runner. I'm a big artifact fan. And then, obviously, I do have a love for blue-black frog. I think it's bad. I probably won't do it. Um, but yeah, I wanna explore, like, the combo of 8 Moxes with Urza Saga just seems too good not to be playing.
Yeah, I feel you there. That deck looks really fun and busted. I think the
Mhm.
white splash is always the big question for me because I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah.
really powerful white cards. But I've been playing a whole bunch of brute scale. That's been my jam right now. I've been
Yeah, you just love your Eldrazi's.
sue me. I found something I like. My bad.
I mean, I think you're a freak, but if you're having fun, you know,
Hey man, I'm having fun. I'm winning, and I get to make fun of people. It's actually really fun. My
true.
least favorite thing about brute scale, by the way, is the fact that I keep calling these tokens scions, and that's so wrong for so many reasons. Because
What are they called?
scions are 1/1s, spawns are 0/1s.
Oh, they're spawns, sure,
So you
whatever.
have to say spawns, because like theoretically you could register Warping Rail right now. Neoform is a popular
Sure.
deck, so you're just like
I would just call them little idiots. I don't know, make a little idiot, go
make a
ahead.
guy, make a silly little guy, take a damage, just
Y
goof
yeah,
around a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
But no, that's my least favorite interaction in modern right now is the fact that I have to
That's so
really
funny.
much so not call them scions, even though I've called them scions for
Yeah,
X amount of time because of K command and flash rate or
yeah.
whatever garbage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But how does it feel being queued for the next P2 PTs? Do you feel like you get to take your foot off the gas, mess around in these RCs a little bit, or
Yeah, so I mean, like, I've already been thinking about Calgary. I am gonna go still just because, like, I love the Gathering as much as I love the Magic, and I want to sort of spend my time instead of testing for myself, helping some of the other, like, Canadians test and sort of, like, use the things I've learned from testing for the PT to sort of help guide them a little bit because 'cause I'm, like, big on other people's success as much as my own, so I'm kind of excited to take a step away from myself and help some other people not to be, cringe and kind and whatever.
yeah, gratitude, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But do you have any personal plans? Anything you're gonna do outside of Magic between now and the next PT?
Not really. I mean, I'm gonna go to Orlando for the spotlight. I don't need to, because obviously pat myself on the back. I'm already queued for that PT, but it seems like a lot of fun, and I just like playing the game a lot. So
Also,
guess I'm going to Orlando.
Orlando's a cool city too. Like there was the one in Indianapolis, like
Yeah,
right after the RC, and I'm like, there's no shot I'm going to that.
boring.
That sounds
No.
disgusting. But Orlando
Yeah,
would be like a sick time, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I've never been, so it'll be cool to check it out and sort of see what that's all about.
You a big fan of Universal?
I'm not a big amusement. I don't really like being around anywhere I have to line up for anything.
You
Don't
hate
make me do
rides?
that.
You hate rides?
Yeah, I don't like rides. I don't like lining up. I don't. Yeah, I'm good.
If you made it this far, it's an L Dawson. You can comment L Dawson.
It's fine.
L Dawson
Yeah,
for the
that's
rice
fine.
take. I think that's a
I'll hold
positive.
that one.
It's a big L. But now I wanted to add this segment for the last one, but sadly since Lyndon was the first one, we don't really get to have one. Is
Okay.
I got a question from the audience, and this one was House of
Okay.
Mana. And
Great.
House of Mana was struggling coming up with a question, but he ended up on, "What's your favorite House of Mana moment?" This is a story to rake him over the coals, make a little goof out of him. All yours.
Mhm. So he's gonna hate that I'm gonna tell this story. Um, so we were in Vegas last year for the con, and he was in my B&B, and we're all sitting around just sort of chatting about Magic and the stories from the tournament or whatever. And someone was talking about a bad judge call or something along those lines. I can't fully remember. And they just go, I just got fucked. And then House of Mana, our boy, comes stumbling out of his bedroom, nothing on but some tidy whities, stumbles out of the bedroom in all his glory and goes, "You think you got fucked?" And then proceeds to tell some story that I don't remember. But I'll never erase that image from my brain of him stumbling out like my drunken father and then just spewing this thing in his underwear. So that's my favorite House of Mana story, and I love him dearly.
That's so funny. Oh my god. I didn't even know about that
Yeah,
one. That's so
it's
funny.
it's so good.
There's always so many good House of Mana stories. And I feel like there's always a lot of good
Yeah,
House of Mana photos. That's what I appreciate Ontario for. Is they always
it's
get
so good.
good photos during the RC. And it's so
Yeah.
funny every I think my favorite one was when we were taking his Arclight Phoenix deck photo, the one where he was like
Mhm,
up like that in the chair. And he was
mhm.
like, "What do I do with my cyborg guide?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Put it around my crotch." And I was so I had to get
He
a little
is
bit too close to House of Mana's junk, and it was a.
I don't think you can ever be too close, you know? I feel like it's
Uh,
sort of a religious experience.
it definitely wasn't cathartic. I definitely don't think about it anymore. I had to burn that one out of my
Fair.
brain. But that's the episode though. We did it. You made the first
Amazing.
episode.
We
Good
did
job.
it.
We did it. We did it. I want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully you had a wonderful time. And
Amazing, yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to shout out everybody that's listening. And I don't have any sponsors, so face to face sponsor me.
Yeah,
Anyways,
please.
that's it for the show. Appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful day, and this is the Bad Beats Show.